Well, here's a funny story about a landmine prank that went spectacularly wrong. When I was growing up, all across the country, these warning posters could be found in all public buildings, many of the schools and banks, in all post offices and all police stations, at airports, at train stations, absolutely everywhere in public you could see these old warning signs. And the idea was to alert the public to be on the lookout for these kinds of weapons that were being used by the ANC in their terrorist campaign against mostly civilians. And so we see hand grenades, we see another stick grenade, we see limpet mines, anti-personnel mines, and of course these nice big old anti-vehicle mines that were very, very powerful. Uh, these boards were made of some kind of a plastic or a resin material, so they're quite hollow. I had a friend, his name is John. John was in high school and he became bored one day, so he took one of these posters and took some scissors and he cut the landmine out. Because the thing is hollow on the other side, it actually worked reasonably okay as a frisbee. So he played with this thing, throwing it back and forth a couple of times until it became too tedious. And he thought to himself, what else can I do with a landmine today? And so he decided it might be quite a funny prank to go and half bury this landmine in the flower bed of his school principal's garden. So he did that and promptly forgot about it. A day or two, three later, the principal's wife came out to water her flowers, and all of a sudden, she saw this landmine. We'd been warned so many times to be on the lookout and to report these things. This was serious. Unfortunately, she was the nervous type, and so she completely overreacted and she completely freaked out. And so, in great panic, the police was called, the army was brought in, and the bomb squad was brought in. And so now everybody's very nervous and very much alert, because if there's one of these, there might be more. And so they had the metal detector and they're going up and down, up and down, up and down, scanning, but there was no sound of metal coming through on the earphones. And eventually the lad got down onto his knees and, taking a knife, started poking gently to lift the landmine, and then of course discovered that it was just a fake landmine. So by this time things had been so tense that the joke was lost on everyone. When it was time for assembly that Monday morning, the school was called together and the principal stood on the stage and he said, "Who did it? Who put the landmine in my flower bed?" Of course, nobody said anything. The whole school was quiet because basically not many of them knew. But there's always that one person. Doesn't matter in what culture, doesn't matter in what time era. There's always the one that's willing to snitch. And so he put his hand up and he said, "It was John, sir." And the principal said, "John, you come with me." And so he took John to the principal's office and he said, "Bend over." And he took his cane and he royally warmed his bottom for him. In addition, he had to do some community service work. So he was tasked with planting 80 trees next to the cricket field by the school over a weekend. John was staying in a school residence, we called it a hostel. And so he wasn't allowed to go home, he had to plant some trees. But John is an inventive type. He decided he was not going to spend his weekend planting trees. Oh, and he had 6 months to plant the trees. So come Monday morning, all the trees were planted. What John had done is he sent word to his father. He said he needed a squad of workers. So he paid them all 30 rands each and a quart of beer. And they dug the holes and they quickly planted all the trees for him. So the principal called him back into the office and said, "John, how'd you plant 80 trees, 6 months worth of planting work in one weekend?" And John just smiled and he said, "I'm a fast digger, sir."